So about 15 years ago, probably slightly over 15 years ago, came to Ashford and joined Fountain Church, and there was a need for a youth work, and so began gathering some of the very few young people that we had in the church. I remember we actually began meeting in my house. I had a little flat in Kennington, and I can't remember how many young people, maybe 10, grew to maybe 20, slightly more than that. And they would come and just fill this little space in my house, this little flat, and they would absolutely stink up the house. I remember my wife was, I think she was pregnant, or we just newly married, and we were trying to establish life, and she had to adopt the call that God had put on my life, which was a call to nurture young people. And I remember, we would meet from maybe 6, 7 till 9, and of course they would stay for longer than that, and we would have to leave the double doors of the living room open for about 3 hours just to air out the stench of teenagers from my house. But it was amazing just seeing some of these young people just grow to love the Lord. And many of them are actually young people in the church today, who are serving, what, not young people, they are grown people, grown men and women who are serving in the church and who are walking with the Lord. And one of them is the youth pastor now, Isaiah and Norma. And it's been a pleasure to see what God has been doing. Transport was a bit of a problem, and as we were starting, some of these young people, their parents didn't come to church, and we had to make sure that we transport them to the place of meeting and send them back. And so we had a minibus, and some of the funnest times and memories was in the minibus, transporting them back to their homes. One of the fondest memories in the minibus with Tamara, who leads Fountain Worship Youth. She was a little girl at the time, and I remember dropping off some of her siblings at the house. And Tamara would always want to be there, but then would have to leave her there. And we say that we were going to go to KFC. Now, Tamara had an absolute love affair with KFC, which I hope she's been delivered from now. And she was just crying the thought of all these older youth going to KFC without her. But we had great memories. And I'm just glad to see what God has done and the evolution of the youth ministry into Connected now, being led by the very young people that God helped us to nurture in the Fountain Youth Group.
One thing that's helped me stay grounded is accountability. Being around people that have mentored me, discipled me, helps me to remember that I actually haven't made it. And there's so much more for me to do, to work on, to put the work in to become who God has created me to be, essentially.
I believe that God is raising an army. And, this is across all the age groups in the church. We have the children, Victorious Kids, Connected, Inspire, and everybody else, the men and the women in the church. And there is a vision that God has given us, and that is to create a community, just like what we see in Acts chapter 2, where the people were coming together in unity, in one accord. And because of what God was doing in their midst, there was such growth in number and there was revival. And so Connected, I believe, will be a place where young people will find community, will connect, like the name that God gave the leaders of Connected. Young people will connect. And in that connection, there will be iron sharpening iron. There will be challenging one another to walk a deeper walk of faith with God. And I believe that this town is going to see amazing things that God is going to do through the work of the young people, the work of Connected with the young people.
When I think of purpose, I think of a mission, I think of something with value, I think of the reason for something.
He created you for that will. You weren't created and then the will was brought. No, there was a will that was brought and you were seen to be the perfect person to fulfill that will.
I think that Abraham was 100 years old when he had his son. Imagine waiting 100 years to have a child. Some of us don't even wait that long for God's promises to be fulfilled. Like, a day is too long.
For us to be good students of the word, be a good disciple of the word, be a good disciple of Christ, we have to follow what the word of God says and Jesus' commands.
We won't acknowledge him, but we'll lay aside every path. We'll lay aside every garment of selfish ambitions and just give him all the glory that is worth.
Everything we do must start with Christ. We can have no other foundation. We cannot rely on ourselves. We cannot rely on those around us, but we have to rely on Christ. He is our firm foundation.
It's been an absolute privilege and honor to serve in this ministry and just to see the growth and maturity in our young people. And of course, the devil's not going to be happy about this. And he knows the impact that these young people can make. And so what does he do? He tries to still kill and destroy their lives. And we can see how the devil is working very hard in this day and age to destroy the lives of our young people. We see the increase in mental health. We see the increase in sexual immorality and confusion in identity and so many things. And we can see that the devil is really out there to attack and to steal the gifts and the talents and what God has placed in these young people's lives.
The top two things that I've seen that young people are experiencing and struggling with in schools and the schools that I go to are, I would say, suicide and lack of identity. And I think they kind of intertwine as well, which we hear suicide a lot. It's almost like a buzzword, but like when you truly get into it, a lot of these people come into these spaces, and because so many ideas are thrown to you at such a young age, you kind of lose your identity. You don't know your purpose. You don't know what you're called to be. And literally so many kids are walking into school day in, day out. They may have courses in mind for uni, but they genuinely don't know their purpose for life. And I think through that, even seeing people speak about their struggles with suicide and substance abuse as well, I think is very, very apparent. I think seeing it today, I can really say that's one thing that's really heightening, which is really scary, that the enemy has really seeped into the minds of young people because they don't know and they're not equipped with what God has told them they have. They don't know what the power they hold because they're sons and daughters of God. So the enemy comes in and truly distorts people's mindsets on their identity, on their self-image, and it's really sad.
We are living in a world where young people are under so much pressure. So many of them are isolated. Many others are being pulled and drawn into lifestyles, into mindsets that are ungodly. And I believe there is such value in young people coming together and finding community. And one of the things I love whenever I've been around Connected is the community that God has managed to build, the community that Isaiah and the team have built with these young people. And I pray that we all support this work, help to invest in this work, pray for this work, that the Lord will continue to build this great community of young people connected.